Welcome to JackHorny.com show.
Hi folks, I'm doing this as I'm walking the dog, so you might hear a lot of background noise, cars, etc. Anyway, I'm not that near the road, but I think it might pick up on the mic. But this is going to be such a short one anyway, so it doesn't matter. Now this one I'm going to probably won't call it, I'm not sure what I'm going to call it, but something on the ground lines of, can you be a feminist and be anti-porn? You see, you might think, surely being a feminist means you should be anti-porn. Okay, let's put it this way. And like I said, this is very simple and very quick. The definition, I would argue, which I've been looking up, about being a feminist, states you believe in equality for the sexes. Now, that's fairly straightforward. If we don't believe in equality, one call themselves a feminist? It's a bit like saying a vegetarian or a vegan who eats meat once a week. Well, they're not a vegetarian, are they? And I've heard people call themselves vegan or vegetarian, and yet they'll eat meat a few days a week, but because they have one day off, they go, some sort of vegetarian or vegan, they claim themselves. It's not true. It's a bit like saying you're teetotal, but you only have a drink once a week. Even if you have a drink once a year, you're still not teetotal. It's sort of a basic definition. So when it comes to porn, you've got people, I think it's fair to say Geldines argues that women shouldn't have the right to do porn, or be in porn or enjoy porn. Now, I think it's fair to say in other videos she's done, and I'll cover them, I think she's dismissed the 50 Great... She doesn't like the 50 Great Shades of books, because I don't think she agrees with women being involved with BDSM. And it's always fun... Oh, sorry, I just fell then. It's always fun listening to when she talks about this, because you can almost sense that there are a lot of women in that audience who are into BDSM, and I don't think Gail realises it, because to be honest, one of the things that's interesting is on the talks, I'm not sure she does talk about sexuality. It seems to be, you get the feeling Gail's not, it sort of objects to sexuality in that regard. I think she might not enjoy it. It's one of the things that I always find, I was just thinking about it today. I was thinking she doesn't really talk in her speeches about women's or men's sexuality. She just comes out with the presumptions about what people like. In fact, one of the things, and this is going off subject, I plan to do next year is do some podcasts on sexuality by interviewing people and seeing what their feelings are. I'll talk about that later anyway in future podcasts if it ever gets round to it, sort of thing. I think it's a good idea and then end up not doing. So if we go back to this, we have such as Gail Dines and others who state that, I think I think it's fair to say I'm not incorrectly stating, she claims that women do porn because they're skint, even though again she then points out some on Instagram are making millions, so that doesn't really make sense. But anyway, she seems to condemn women for doing it as if they're vulnerable and stupid. Again, in one of the videos, this lawyer lady, I think, condemns her for it, says that's a bit insulting. And then it's also pointed out to her saying that you've got women making the decision at 18 to join the army and go out and be killed if they want. Well, hopefully they're not being killed, but you know what I mean. And yet, you, Gail, and others like you are saying women don't have the right to take the clothes off or express their sexuality, which is what this is down to. By the way, if you ever look at the audience of Gail Dines, you notice how it's mainly white women, middle class. I was watching one recently and they all seem to be pure white-haired, blonde-haired, middle-class women. I thought, my goodness. Anyway, it's just a point. You find that with because the one thing about feminists, and I'll keep repeating it, and no one's ever proved me wrong, feminists tend to be mainly white, always, and I'll say this, always middle class, and left-wingers who look down upon the working class, which, when you analyse it, this is what we're seeing now. You know, a lot of people who do porn are working class, and so we have the great, powerful, wonderful left-wing, middle-class, white elite, superior to everyone else, saying, no, we don't agree with you doing what you wish to with your bodies. We'll tell you what to do. Now, if a bloke said that, I think you'd be condemning them straight away. And yet, I'm just crawling across a tree here. And yet, for some reason, she has followers, blindly clapping her, saying, oh, isn't she wonderful? Isn't she a feminist? No. Again, if I was to state that, I think you condemn me quite rightly. If I said I don't think women should be able to do what they want with their bodies or view porn, because we know that 2/3 of, I can't remember the stats, it's a huge number though, of women who look at porn online. The bulk of it, there's a huge majority of female. And we know that, and Gail Dines even mentions it herself, which really must irritate her, to know that the top selling books from the last 10 years, according to the Daily Mail, is the 50 Grey Shades of Grey books. They outsold everything else. And then you've got the films. And the majority of those people go, again, I'm going to generalise, I'd say are women. I mean, I don't know, but from the sounds of it, it sounds like it's female orientated. I think those who went to the film are mainly female. I saw a lot of women talk about it. I haven't seen many men. I mean, it seems a boring film to me. It's not my sort of thing. But it's interesting because a lot of women seem to find it part of their sexuality. Now, there's one thing I noticed over the years. One of the I've met a few people who are into BDSM, spanking bondage, or whatever you wish to call it. I mean, one of them was a friend of mine. She's moved abroad now, but she had quite a high-powered job. I mean, her position was high in the business, and she used to work sometimes till midnight. I mean, I was concerned for her health because to work till midnight was just insane to me, but she would do. And rather than drinking, she'd love to be tied up and dominated. It was her way of relieving stress. And one of the things I've heard over the years, again, I don't know if this is true or not, but it does seem to be those in high-powered, stressful jobs use BDSM, get to be dominated as a sense of relief. Again, it might be just one of them old wives' tales things. I'm not saying that's factual. I don't like to say things that I don't have evidence to, but it's just something that's popped up, talked about a lot. But anyway, this is my point. If you start telling women what to do with their bodies and how to think, you're in a dangerous area, I'd say. But I certainly don't think you could class yourself as a feminist, or can you? I mean, it seems to be the opposite to me of being a feminist. I mean, it's nice to stand there and say, I define. I mean, in one video, Gail says, I've defined porn as a public health hazard. Well, that isn't the definition of porn. But apparently, Gail, with a sociology degree from, I think, Manchester University, or is it Poly? I don't know. Marvellous. I mean, it's not Oxford, is it? Apparently, she's more superior to every other academic going. I mean, this is why I always say, by the way, I mean, you'll find this, I say this in many of the videos, Gail Downs has got a sociology degree. That does not mean she's an expert in porn. And when you listen to the videos, I think you should question how much research she's done. Because quite honestly, it sounds, I mean, in one, and this is a fairly recent one, she even told us to try the experiment. In her words, she said, go onto Instagram, and she even quoted the model. She said, go onto this porn star's name, who had millions of followers, which again disproved the fact that all these women are piss poor and stupid and whatnot, and quit. I mean, this woman had been going on for years. I mean, And yet in one video she claims that after 3 months women are destroyed physically. I mean, by the way, it's not actually that possible. Most people, women in porn, do not do a porn shoot every day. From my experience, I suspect they do one a week at most, or one a month. So to say that after 3 months, which she claims women are destroyed, you're only talking about having sex a couple of times, I'd say. And don't forget, not everyone, when we talk about porn, I mean, in the version Gail Dines has, is it always is about men and having sex with women. Well, you know, a lot of it is solo women. You've got gay porn, you've got bi porn, you've got all sorts of different types. But it's odd how Gail sort of, I mean, again, I think most people, even if you don't watch porn, wouldn't actually say, hang about. I'm sure there's more types of porn than Gail talks about. It's almost as if Gail's just talking papa, as if she doesn't know, but yet she's talking as if she's the expert. Ooh. See, this is why I'd have more respect for Gail if she actually had done a lot of research and she'd talked to people in the porn industry. But I don't think she has. She seems to have rejected talking to men. Unless I think the only ones she'll talk to is if, say, a woman goes along and says, "Oh, I regret doing porn. It was hellish." Then she'll probably use that. Just talk to them as because it's quite biased how she puts forward her views. But like I say, let me just check this is recording. I was only thinking it was last a minute or two. My argument is, can you actually be a feminist and be objecting to porn? Now, just because you don't like porn, that's a different matter. I mean, I don't like football. Doesn't mean I go around trying to ban it. I mean, I find it the most boring thing going. And also, one of the strange things is, you'd imagine, if you was going to talk about women being vulnerable, etc., exploited, including men, I'd say, I mean, I'd argue, and again, I'm generalising, that those who go into boxing are the ones who are exploited. The ones that seem to be doing it always don't seem to be wealthy. They seem to be the poor people who do it in order to get money for the family. But in the results, we know that they can get damage to the brain, quite physically beaten up. So you'd imagine, if you were going to start talking about people being abused, wouldn't you talk about such as female boxers, or in fact boxers in general, both male and female? I mean, I don't like boxing. I really don't, quite honestly. But is it my place to tell other people what to do with their bodies? I mean, people, in one of the videos, in several I think, she tries to be quite clever by saying, "Oh, nobody wakes up and says, oh, shall I be a doctor, shall I be a lawyer, or shall I be a porn star?" Oh, that doesn't happen. Well, actually it does, because part of sexuality, I mean, I know a lot of doctors and nurses who do porn on the side because they enjoy it. I knew one who's, I know one doctor. She never shows her face, but she's a surgeon. She can't show her face, but it's part of her sexuality. She enjoys doing porn. She just wears a mask. And I've known several nurses do it, who also, they wear a slight disguise. I mean, obviously, if you were naked, it's usually tattoos give away a person's appearance. But, Gail seems to have this bullying tactics, I'd say. She believes that, she does seem to talk down to anyone who does porn, especially women. If they're either, there seems to be three categories she doesn't like. One, those who are in it, because she doesn't like the term porn star. She doesn't seem to have any respect for any woman who's doing it, because in her mind they're all not too bright, bit thick. Well, that's what the impression is you get from the videos. The second group is those who make porn. Oh, she objects to those women. They're also not equal. And the third lot is those who view porn, such as those who buy the 50 Grey Shades of books. And then she wonders, I mean, that's the thing. And that, as I say, if you believed in equality, even if you're against porn, there's nothing wrong with Gail being anti-porn. But don't try and pretend that it's a feminist issue. It's not. It's your personal view. That's what it's about. This isn't a sort of feminist thing at all. Because you'd argue, even if you were anti-porn, you'd say, look, at the end of the day, I believe women should be able to do what they want with their bodies. This, that and the other. If a woman wants to view porn, that's up to her. If a woman wants to make porn, that's up to her. That's the equality issue. But I'm going to argue that porn's wrong on a different level. That will be fine. But don't sort of wave this, my version of feminism. I can't remember what her version is. I think she's a radical feminist. Just meaningless words. I mean, I'm a radical feminist. We can all be radical feminists. It doesn't mean anything. But that's the reality, folks. It's, to me, you can't be a feminist and tell women what to do. It just doesn't sit comfortably. And I know she'll probably go, "Ooh, he's a PR agent." I'm not. I mean, by the way, I'm as sick as crap. If you knew me, I'm dyslexic. I was bottom of the class. I'm not some sort of clever arse. I mean, that's why I find it quite easy to. That's why I don't really have the arguments Gail comes along with. I don't think are very good, because if I can argue against them, I mean, it's not much, is it? Then they can't be very good arguments. But you'll notice that, and I always point this out, she fires them off like bullets, and no one thinks, they don't analyse what she said. It just sounds good, and then people think about it. I mean, a lot of people do. I've heard women say it before. They've listened to it. They've actually been put off by her because they go, it's not right that she's telling women what to do or think or say. She shouldn't be saying to women they don't have the right to do porn. That's because even they know that even any version of feminism believes in equality. I mean, I'm not a feminist. I believe in equality. That's all. And like I said, the argument that women who go into the army at 18, that's the argument I've just heard, which is a good one. Women, if you believe women can go into the army at 18, fine. I mean, it's a bit like saying, Gail might as well argue that women shouldn't have the vote at 18. And yes, it's true. I mean, if she comes out with, I found someone who's done porn and she regrets it, guess what? We all do jobs we regret. I bet a lot of the actors in this new Cats film regret doing it. I bet they really regret it. I mean, that's probably more damage than doing. I bet they all wish they'd done porn, in fact, because by the sounds of it, I think they'd have had a better review. But anyway, like I said, this is just it was going to be a quick one. I think it's about 18 minutes or so. So I'll just sign off because I'll just carry on rabbiting on and repeating myself otherwise. And I'll probably cover this in video after video because, as I say, I always find it amusing when women tell other women what to do and think and then claim they're feminists. It just seems the opposite of being what a feminist is, but maybe I'm wrong. I mean, like I said, I'm dyslexic, I'm not smart. Gail's the one who can define porn as being something she wants it to be. I guess she can define feminism as whatever she fancies. Apparently it's, I mean, and by the way, just to finish off, not only does she tell women what to do, think, say, blah, 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 I'd argue that a lot of it is anti-working class because a lot of it sounds like she doesn't have respect for working class women to decide for themselves, which is, what the word for that is? Prejudiced. Pure prejudiced. And that's not just Gail. You'll find that with most people on the left. It's why I point this out, it's why I'd argue that the Labour lost the election, because if you listen to everybody, all the supporters, they all were looking down at the working class. Whenever they want protests, they refused to talk to those who were working class. But anyway, that's just me rabbiting on. I'll just end it there, folks. Okie dokie. Hi folks, I just thought of just something to whack on the end of this video. I just recorded this a few minutes after the first bit. Another point I'd like to make about the equality with such as Gail Dines is, if you notice, she only talks about women who are being damaged or whatever in porn. I mean, again, there's no evidence of it, but you would imagine that if you believe in equality, wouldn't you argue that it affects both males and females, and you'd be fighting for the rights of both males and females rather than just the females? And the argument seems to be that all males are the ones who make part. I mean, it's a very sexist argument, wouldn't you agree, folks? I mean, it doesn't actually make sense why you'd suggest that women would be suffering but men wouldn't. Again, that's a rather bizarre, I'd say, sexist belief. You see, once you start analysing what Faye says and just listen to all the videos, you suddenly realise what she's stating is she isn't into equality. She's into just believing that, well, the sounds of it, it's that women are vulnerable and she's here to protect every woman because women aren't intelligent enough. So just getting the dog's pulling me over. Women aren't intelligent to make decisions for themselves. The only intelligent women are the ones who follow Gail Dines' views. But anyway, oh, and by the way, in one video, I'll go through it. It's she tries to suggest that the media is all right wing, and it's some sort of, I mean, it's almost paranoia. She starts talking about how the media is doing this great big plot against women or something, and how the left don't have a voice. Well, this is somebody who's on YouTube having a voice. No one's stopping her having a voice. No one. She can talk. I mean, she's on TV a lot, and yet her views seem to be quite low. The support by other women are very low. I mean, you're looking often, most of the videos seem to get 2,000 views. It's nothing. In a world where you've got millions and millions of people viewing porn, you'd imagine millions of women would be objected to it, wouldn't you? But yet, the less support she's got is zilch, obviously, like a lot of left-wingers, she blames the media. The fact that people see through her drivel has nothing to do with it. Because after all, like most left-wingers, she believes everyone who doesn't agree with her is stupid and thick and probably a racist. I mean, that's again, when we look at why Labour lost the election this year, 2019, one of the points mentioned was people didn't like the fact they were told they were stupid, thick, racist scum all the time by the left-wing middle-class superiority groups. It doesn't change. But they think this is how they gain support because they live in a sort of echo chamber. I mean, this is one of the things you'll find about the left more and more is that it is an echo chamber conversation. They just mix with other people who have the same views. Outsiders are not welcome because they might disagree with them. Anyway, that's just a point. I'm just pointing out that for somebody who's going around saying they're feminists, that everything seems to be the conversations don't seem to entail any sort of equality. I mean, I think I've seen people saying, how come you don't talk about gay films or lesbian films, or how come it's always women who are the vulnerable ones? I mean, once you start questioning this, their arguments suddenly flop down like a pack of cards. Anyway, this is just a little extra bit. I'm sticking on the end because things come in my mind as I'm walking along. Okie dokie, bye.